I want to, if we are gonna go over um, a, a replay, I don't remember too much of my past games, so to speak, but I know the most recent replay I have is a game of Morphling.
Yep.
I don't normally play mid, and I went mid Morphling. I don't normally play Morphling either, so right out the gate I'm definitely at a disadvantage. But
we can do the Spirit Breaker one. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to remember it too much, and it doesn't have to be too special. I'm sure if I picked any of your games, I'd still be able to find at least an hour's worth of stuff to talk about. So I'm just gonna start with the Spirit Breaker one. Position 4 is like my main role, so we can go with this. And right now I'm sharing on Skype my screen, so that's how I usually have my students go through a lesson with me.
Okay.
Is that gonna work with your recording?
Yeah, I think it'd be fine.
Right.
We can just swap over and do a capturing of the Skype here.
Gotcha.
Order, move up, and display capture. How about this? There, that works. Perfect.
Alright, cool. I already went through your item order, and I actually don't have any complaints with it, really.
Okay.
The Blade Mail's really good against the Tinker and the Bloodseeker. Urn is just always amazing on position 4s. I really like it. The main reason that I like it on position 4s, the obvious reasons are it's cheap, and the heal's really good, and the nuke's really good, and the mana regen basically solves most of position 4's mana problems. But I really like it because after you take a team fight, oftentimes your teammates are really low. Let's say you take a team fight with your SF, you guys win the fight, and it's just you and the SF. But the SF is like 20% HP, and let's say Lion lived or some shit. The SF might want to go back to base just because he's scared of the Lion, but because you have an Urn, you can keep your SF pushing, so you spending less than 1,000 gold can often mean you guys push a tower down, plus all of the mana regen and the stats and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be focusing a lot more middle here. Because if you can get this SF as early souls, and you can stop this guy from doing too much, like, the way that they're probably going to win this game, if they win it, is the Tinker's going to get big, or the Bloodseeker's going to get big, and you can't really do anything to the Bloodseeker anyways. So the highest impact hero that you can have an influence on is the Tinker.
Yes.
And the Faceless Void isn't really going to stop your Necro from farming. So it's just kind of like, you're not going to... Even if you kill the Faceless Void, I'd still rather see you just like punching the Tinker.
Right. Helps our Shadow Fiend snowball, then stops the Tinker from snowballing himself. Actually, right after I gank top, I actually gank mid, and I gank mid a couple different times.
Okay.
The only problem is I stopped ganking mid and focusing on mid for the most part. because I started to lose faith in my mid players.
Ah,
There was
gotcha.
a lot of times where I would set something up for the mid or do something for the mid, um, and his attitude wasn't the best.
I got
So
you.
to be honest with you, I guess stopped trying to focus on him so much and really just tried to focus on the other lanes I knew could be beneficial.
Yeah, I got you. That's understandable, and I'm not gonna say that's wrong. But I do want you to consider that you're not going mid just for the SF. So I'm going to guess that it might have still been better to go mid just to shut down the Tinker,
Okay.
than to go here, because like these guys aren't going to lose this lane unless they're worse than the SF is.
Right.
And this guy's probably not going to snowball. And you can't do anything bottom really. So it's kind of like your only option for having a high impact in the early game, which is what you want to do on a Spirit Breaker, is by going mid. Do you have any questions on that?
No,
Okay.
I know right there, that charge, I should have started my charge earlier when the SF was coming in. As far as, you see what I mean? Because, like, by the time I actually stunned him, SF would have came in with the TP. I mistimed my charge.
I think that whole thing is a mistake. Even going on the Tinker here is bad. Because this SF is going to miss these last hits, which are very important because he just died.
Right.
And if what you do instead is just walk over here and then charge him when these creeps go onto your creeps, like you're going to charge here and you're going to aggro all of these guys, and you're going to push the lane. So the lane's going to be farmable by the Tinker, whereas if what you did instead was wait for these guys to meet these guys and you come over here and charge the Tinker, if the creeps are like right here, you can stand like right here and body out the Tinker, and then your SF will be free farming right here and Tinker will be on this side.
Okay.
And then yeah, this guy gets no farm, this guy gets free farm, he gets all of his souls. And like the point of killing people early is to stop them from farming until like level 6. Death timers are so low that I don't really care about getting kills too much. Like it's nice, but I'd rather zone somebody than kill them usually. But after 6 they die for a lot longer. But the only time that I really care about a kill is if it's first blood, because you get the 200 gold, and that's pretty important. And you're also denying them the 200 gold if they get a kill. So it can be a 400 gold swing by getting first blood. But aside from that, I don't really care too much about kills until level 6. And yeah, this guy just missed 3 last hits because you're going for this, and you're going to be pushing his wave. So this whole thing was, I don't like it too much.
Okay. It makes sense. Thank you.
Yep. And here, this kind of makes me think that you don't watch your minimap enough. Because right here, if you're watching the minimap, you can see that the Tusk and the Lion are going on your Monkey King. And like, you can't do anything mid too much, and you can't do anything top too much. So what you can do is charge bottom, and this guy's, like, it was pretty obvious that they were going on him, and I would assume that they're going to go on him and do a fuck ton of damage to him just because of the positions that they show up. Like right here, I would assume he's getting gone on, I'd still like to have seen you look bottom, because they could be going, like, yeah, they have, what is that? They have about 4.5 seconds of disables. And if this guy throws out a good shards, they can kill your Monkey King really easily, which they might end up doing. Yeah. Actually, lol. But yeah, imagine if you charged bottom sooner.
Yeah.
Like he barely turns it around, but if you showed up sooner, he would have turned it all around a lot easier, and you'd get the lion kill, probably.
Okay.
So that's just kind of like when we talked on Steam, you talked about how you're really good at analyzing games, but you're not really good at thinking in game. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what that mostly is did you play any sports growing up? Or
baseball, football, basketball.
Yeah. So when you think about what was going through your mind while you were playing those sports when you were younger. The best example would probably be basketball. Think about the very first time you touched a basketball, and then think about like one of your last games or whatever. And then think about dribbling the ball. How much thought did you put into it the first time as opposed to the last time?
Right. It becomes muscle memory at that point.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's what a lot of Dota is. It's not that like if I'm playing the Spirit Breaker this game, it's not that I'm thinking about 100 times more things than you. It's that I have all of that like already like subconsciously going on. So I'm not actively thinking about all of these different things. I just work on one little thing until it becomes habit enough that I can stop thinking about it so much and then move on to the next thing.
Now, I will admit I definitely don't move the mouse or move the camera around a lot to look at my other lanes, but just looking at the mini map, I can tell a lot of times what's going on. So like when they were going on him in the bottom lane, I didn't know how bad that situation was, but I did know that they were going on him.
Well, it's just kind of like the response to that then is just kind of like, why not just look? Like you're not doing anything right now that involves a lot of like looking in this area. Like you can just walk here, you can click here and then check here and see this fucking glitch. But it's like if you're not just checking, for me that just kind of like makes me think you didn't even see it, which is just checking your minimap. And it's really easy to do it as a position forward because you're not laning, you're not zoning people out usually. It's a lot more of just making the correct movements across the map, which is a lot of checking what's happening. This should go away soon, yeah. And then another thing that I want to point out, is you're not using your quick buy, and that's something that I point out with like 90% of my students. If you press Control and Shift, you can put up to 8 components in this little area over here. So you can have like treads and wand and then like part of your urn in there. And what this does is when we watch right here, you're going to lose about 70 gold that you could have spent on like your wand or something, and then you wouldn't have lost it. Like right now you could buy out a wand and then you die here and you lost 77 gold, whereas you wouldn't have lost, like, you would have lost like 10 gold instead.
Right.
And like if you, let's say you go to a lane now and you don't have a wand and you die because you don't have a wand, or you don't get a kill because you don't have a wand, and then it snowballs from there. So it's a compounding thing. And as a position forward, it's not, the next point isn't as big as it is for the other roles, but it's if you, so you have like a minute before the when the game starts, you have like a minute that you're just walking out to the ruins and nothing's really happening. And in all of that time, that's when you should be setting up your quick buy. And you can use that time to think about what your lane's going to look like, and how you can react to it. Or like the game situation. Like if they have a Ricky and you think about your quick buy first, you'll put a dust in there. Whereas if you don't, you might not. And it's more important for laning. Like if you're laning against like a bristleback, you might get a wand where you wouldn't if you didn't think about it. Or if you're the offlaner and the safe lane that you're playing against is kind of like if they catch you, you're dead no matter what. Like a Shadow Shaman or something. Then you're a lot more likely to get boots than anything else, because a Stout Shield might not save you from that lane, whereas a boots might, or something like that. So it makes you think about what the lane's going to be like first, and then you can build accordingly. And this does this is really big, not just for the game that you're playing, but for later games, because it makes you predict what the lane's going to look like and what you can do about it. And that prediction either means you're going to be right or wrong, which if you're right, then you're going to have a lane advantage that you wouldn't have had, and if you're wrong, you're going to have made a mistake and been able to learn from it. Whereas if you don't set up the quick buy, you're not going to make any predictions, so you're not going to be right or wrong, so you aren't going to get either of those benefits. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
And then also you can quickly run in here and buy shit. Like if they're running you down, and you go this way, you can like buy your boots while you're on the way out. Or if you're the carry, you can quickly buy it from the shop instead of spending 3 or 4 seconds and then missing a last hit or whatever. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Here, one sec. This is a little mistake, but it's, you never checked how long the Tinker had left on his haste. So if he just popped his haste right now, and you charge him and it's full duration, you're not going to do anything when you get there. But if you left click him for like a second and then charge him, you'll know that it's about to run out. So you kind of like got lucky here. I don't think you knew that it was just about to run out. But this is good. That stuff kind of like messes it up, but whatever. And this is kind of like he's fucked.
Yeah.
And you can't make any impact on this after you've made your charge. So it's kind of like you just got to go with the decision that you made, and you're collecting information that you can't do anything about instead of collecting information on what you decided to do. So it's just kind of like this is kind of like you're carrying way too much. Basically, the quote that I read before that I really liked for this situation is you can't micro your teammates.
Right.
So you're wasting resources, like mental resources, trying to process something that doesn't matter to you instead of paying attention to bottom. Which wouldn't have mattered here, but like a lot of this is just like stuff that is mindsets that I'm trying to pick up on instead of like actual things, because it's like if you're doing if you're checking here it shows me that you're thinking about the wrong thing, even though it doesn't like matter in this spot. Again, like when you should have charged, or you should have looked bottom. It's not that it would have made too much of a difference there. You might have got the lion kill, but it's that you not doing it makes me think that you're not thinking the right thoughts when you made that play. Did you watch those 2 videos that I sent you on Roman?
Yeah, I didn't get through it all. But...
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna. I didn't know if I needed to talk about the stuff I talked about in that or not. But if you're planning on watching it, I'm just gonna save us both some time. That's one of my favorite things about the YouTube. I can just like save people a bunch of like time, and like at my rate right now, that would have been like $25 that you would have to spend for that. Whereas I can just send you a link and you get more coaching for free, so it's awesome. At this point, it's kind of just like, you not having focused the Tinker is starting to come in play.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just zoned them at, like, I think if you made that one play that I was talking about, where you run over here and charge him, instead of going through the lane, he might have been, like, 2 levels lower right now.
Okay.
Because that would have made SF get more last hits and more denies, and that would snowball because he had, like, 4 souls at that point, and he would have had, like, an extra, like, 10 or 20 damage just by you making that correct play. And then that, of course, means more last hits and more denies. So your Shadow Fiend might have been like level 7, 7.5, and the Tinker might have been level like 7.5, 8 or something. But he definitely wouldn't have had his bots by now. So this is, and you're kind of a little bit behind on experience and shit.
So I was right there. I'm trying to set up for Shadow Fiend just to come get the rune.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking to get a kill, and then instead of getting the rune, he just starts to fight. I don't think he ever got the rune either.
Lol. Right here, I don't mind what you're doing. The only thing that I would do differently is start with right-clicking this guy instead of charging. Because, like, if the Tinker doesn't walk up, and you just right-click the lion, if he stuns you or disables you, you can use your charge to catch back up. Whereas right now, you're only using it as a stun. Does that make sense? If he stuns you...
If I started right-clicking right there?
Yeah.
Couldn't he still right-click or attack, click the rune, and then because I am stunned, and then what I was trying to do would be fruitless?
I value possibly killing the lion a lot more than the illusion rune right here.
Okay.
Because your chances of killing this guy if the Tinker doesn't show up is like 2 or 3 times better if you hold your charge. And that's worth much more than an illusion rune on the SF.
Okay.
But the Tinker shows up here. So like if you, let's say you walked up to him right now, or you walked up to him in this situation, right now you could charge the Tinker and then you would stun this guy and then this guy wouldn't be able to combo you down instantly. And like, did you see how the fight would have went differently if you got the charge off on the Tinker and then stunned both of these guys?
I see it would go differently, but to be honest with you, I think I still would have died.
Maybe, yeah. But I think the chances of things going right were a lot higher. And of course, you're a hero that's based off of your bash. So, like, chances, little chances can really add up. Like you first hit bash after your charge, and if you just bashed him twice, and then charged the Tinker when the Tinker's like right here, you're gonna be stun locking this guy for like 5 seconds with your 2 bashes, and then you're also gonna stun this guy. And if you can like stun this guy for like 4 or 5 seconds, then this guy's gonna easily be able to kill him, and then you're not gonna get stunned by the lion, and the Tinker's not gonna be able to blow you up because you didn't get stunned by the lion.
Okay. So would you say with something like that, it's like it kind of, with a situation like that, it almost seems like what you're saying is to play greedier.
Yeah, kind of. It's just
Okay.
It's, how do I put it? The way that you played that, you only used your Charge of Darkness as a stun on a single target, whereas if you hold it, you're giving yourself the opportunity to use it as more than just a stun on the lion. So
Okay, that makes sense.
you're kind of just holding it, and if you have to use it later just to stun the lion, it's the same exact situation. But if you hold it and then you can stun the lion and the Tinker, or you can stun the lion and charge top so that the Tinker can't kill you with his laser, or it's just giving yourself more opportunities at zero. It's like a high risk zero, or high reward zero risk play.
Okay.
And that's like the best way that I've thought about that or explained it is with Clockwork. Because with Clockwork, if you can run up to somebody and do your battery on your cogs, you would much rather do that than
Hookshot.
yeah. Or if you're on top of somebody, you don't want to start with hookshot when you can save your hookshot for when they like force staff out or some shit. And then you can use it not only as the stun and the nuke, but you can also use it as a gap closer. So it's just kind of like holding your spells for the best opportunities. Did you get bashed there? Feels bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Feels bad, man.
One thing that I want to point out with Urn is that I oftentimes like to get the recipe instead of the Ring of Protection. Because if you ever fly all of that out to you, you can finish the Urn at the side shop. Ring of Protection is the only item in Urn's build-up that you can get at the side shop. This play is fine. I just wouldn't have gone for an attack here. Like, I like that you stopped his TP. It's like gonna tilt him and waste his time and all that. And if he doesn't have the mana to rearm, he's kind of stuck there for a while. So it's like fine that you did this. It's just kind of like you staying any longer doesn't provide any more than what you've done. Like, you're not gonna kill this guy no matter what happens here. But you staying longer just gives the opportunity of like a lion very well could be like right here, and you going for this attack just means you die.
It was unneeded.
Yeah. And it kind of sucks that you have to buy the wards, but that is what it is. And right here, I would be putting my raindrop in my backpack, because it's not...
So it doesn't lose the charge?
Like, if a Tinker hits you with a rocket right now, you have to pay an extra 225 gold.
And actually, what happens It's what happens later on, I think.
Feels bad. Yeah, I've learned my lesson the hard way over and over with that. And like right now, if you bought the recipe instead of the Ring of Protection, you would have the gold to go to the side shop and pick up the Ring of Protection.
Hmm.
And then there you would have got earn charges from that, and then
Yeah.
you would have also finished it. So you're going to be missing 2 earn charges and 225 gold for getting the Ring of Protection first. And then also not putting it in your backpack, so it's the combination of the two.
There it goes.
Yep. Feels bad.
Feels bad.
And in this game, I would have liked to have seen you gone wand. Usually, if you're using the quick buy thing, where you just buy out when you die, you can oftentimes just buy the little components of wand, like the mango and the branches and all that, and it's essentially free, because if you die with 100 gold, and if you don't buy out, you lose 100 gold, but if you do buy out, you just get the components. So a lot of wand can end up being virtually free, and I really like wand in games that aren't going too well, because every little bit adds up. So if you can get like 5 charges on your wand in a fight, that means you're going to get about, what is that, like 125-ish, 115 health more from this little item. And that's just from like one little fight, and that's only 400 gold. And then the regen's nice, of course, and then the mana's nice, but you're also going to be holding on to it for a long time, because if your early game's not going well, the rest of your game's gonna not go well also. So you're not going to as quickly replace it. So it's like, in 2 different ways, it's better when you're not going... Actually, 3 different ways, because you can buy out the components because you're dying because the game's not going well. And then you're going to hold on to it for a while, and then 100 health might save you, and you might get a kill,
Right.
or something like that. Do you know that if you have 0 earn charges, you get 2 on kill?
I did not.
Okay, so the main thing with that is I usually play around. I play around having 0 earn charges when people die. Like this isn't relative to this situation. You're playing it fine. It's just usually I'll use the first earn to like heal up from the fight that just happened, or if we need to. And then I'll save 1 earn charge to earn aggressively, because that helps me. It increases the chances that I get 2 earn charges, because we kill him instead of not killing him.
Right.
The only time that I'll use my last earn charge to heal is if, like, what I talked about before with earn, where you can heal your SF and he can push because you healed him. But if you don't heal him, he can't push. So something like that, where it's going to make a pretty big impact if you use the heal. But other than that, like, I'll hold on to my earn charge to help guarantee a kill on a target that's going to give me more earn charges. So like what you did right there was like about exactly right. And then if you earn this guy like once more, and then hold on to the earn, or earn yourself or whatever, then that's kind of like what I would be doing right now.
Okay.
And like here's a time where I'd earn myself, or that, yeah, like that's fine because they have a Bloodseeker on the enemy team, and you're giving away a lot of information and like buffs to him. Feels bad if you earned yourself.
Now I have a question. If you earn yourself when I'm running like that, would I stop because of cast animation?
There isn't a cast animation on items.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So I could have still kept running, not lost anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feels bad, man.
The only time that
no, thank you.
Yeah. The only time that they like if you turn to cast one, then it will.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's got a channel, of course, like a TP or a Meteor Hammer or whatever. And I don't like that you went for the blade first.
The blade now?
The broadsword.
Broadsword, okay.
Because it's like when you attack somebody, you're not doing it for your damage, you're doing it for your bash. And you'll oftentimes do more damage just by having more armor and staying alive longer, but you'll also bash more. And you'll also distract the enemies so your team can do more damage.
I think the reason why I got the broadsword there was just because I had the money to get it, and I didn't want to die and lose that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got you. I understand it. It's just like, in my opinion, I think the chainmail, it has more impact, and it can keep you from dying, whereas your broadsword, like in a situation where you might die with the broadsword, you could live with the chainmail.
Right.
Do you have any questions so far?
Every time I do have a question, I definitely bring it up. So,
okay.
If I'm just agreeing, it's because I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for it. This is the longest chase ever.
Lol.
Right there. Yeah.
Feels bad.
He's killing the creep waves.
Look at this. Look at this. Your sentry is missing both of these barely. There's a ward here on the mini-map. And there's one here. So your sentry's barely missing both of them.
I didn't notice that. That does feel bad. Now, with a situation like that, should I have placed it somewhere else?
I wouldn't.
Or is that a good spot?
It's just, I usually wouldn't put down a sentry unless I have a, either a hunch or an actual clue that they do have vision there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you had a reason to place this, aside from you wanted to place this, and it's just, might as well also throw down a sentry or whatever. So that's kind of my thought on it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ward there, and I wanted to make sure they didn't have vision of me warding, so that's why I put down the ward. You know, I put down the detect ward first.
Yeah.
But even with that, still in hindsight, it's probably
you got seen twice.
Yeah.
That's just a little bit of overcommitment, but I don't think you need me to say that. Also, tiny little thing, the branch. You want to be getting the branch isn't going to do anything until you finish the item, so there's no point buying it because you're going to want to get the hood first. Fucking, I think that lost you guys the game, and there isn't even, like, too much for me to say about that. Because now they can just push, they got 3 kills.
Yeah. Well, we knew, at that moment, we knew the Tusk was there by himself, and it was me and the Monkey King.
Yeah.
And then when I comboed on to the Tusk, the Monkey King never came, and he waited until after the Monkey King or the Tusk was running away to initiate.
Yeah. He tried to time it with the snowball, but he went the wrong way with it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Void started getting out of control here, and we couldn't do anything about it.
One thing to consider is, I don't know, there hasn't really been a good spot for it, but if you throw your urn on the Tinker, it can shit on him, because it breaks his blink, but also, if he's good, it's not going to do much, because when he rearms, it's going to refresh anyway, so it's better on, like, the Lion, kind of. But I've had some people that are like, oh wait, urn actually breaks Blink Dagger, so it's worth saying.
Okay.
And then like right here, if you didn't buy that branch, you'd have your... Actually, you have it anyways, never mind. Well, I thought this was still 350.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't pick it up sick, because I just bought it right then, instead of in base. But I think maybe what had happened was, even though I have it in the quick buy, in my mind, for some reason, I still think it's 325, not 300.
I thought it was 350, and I think that's like 6 months ago or something.
Yeah.
That's a waste. You could have right-clicked him. Like if you right-click him and then ult the Bloodseeker instead, and then you probably would have even pushed him uphill. And he's definitely dead if you ult him. And then... Oh, you used it on him. Okay.
So instead of KSing, I KS'd and I lost out on a kill for my team.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this replay is pretty much like most of the stuff that's going to happen is stuff that's happening because of the stuff that happened before the prior mistakes. So we could either call it here or go for another replay.
I mean, you are a lot better in this game than I am, and you're the coach. You've done some coaching before. What do you think would be more beneficial, to play a game or to watch another replay?
Playing, I don't really like coaching while playing. I think what would be best is if we cut it off here, you finish the 2 videos that I sent you, and then you get some games in with everything considered, and then we go from there. Because a lot of your mistakes are going to be repeats from this game that we talked about, or things that are like the Tinker thing is you starting and focusing only on the Tinker is something that those 2 videos that I sent you will help you understand that you should have gone on the Tinker. So if this game was played after you watched those 2 videos, we wouldn't have that mistake, so the rest of the replay wouldn't have been based off of that. Does that make sense?
So focusing on what is going to be, what's our win condition and what's their win condition? How do we secure ours and how do we shut down theirs?
Yeah.
And then the little situations in between, like using the quick buy to maximize
efficiency, I guess.
Think of the word right. Thank you, efficiency.
Sure.
And positioning and team fight, or positioning it in any sort of fight, like you were talking about in the mid game or the mid lane there.
Yeah.
And then utilizing skills better.
Yeah. If I had to boil down those two videos, the points that I want you to get is when you're I'm probably gonna miss some of it, but it's as a position 4, you need to look at what needs to be done and what you can do about it. Like it would be great if you could shut down the Bloodseeker, but you can't. So like you want to shut down the Bloodseeker and the Tinker this game, and you don't care too much about the Void because that lane should already be won. So you kind of you want to shut down both of these guys like equally, but you can't do anything to this guy, so you're gonna do shit to this guy. And it's good to realize what you need to do because let's say this Bloodseeker fucks up and you have the opportunity to kill him. If you realize that you need to kill him, then you'll be more likely to go for him than the Void when it's like equal situations. But yeah.
Okay.
So finish those 2 videos. Rewatch this if you need to.
Okay.
And then try to get like 3 to 5 games in before our next lesson, so we can have more stuff to go through, and you'll have more time to, oh wait, I didn't do this right, so let's work on that the next game, and then we can go over that replay.
Okay. Now, do you want? How do you want to set up the next coaching lesson?
I usually play it by ear, and just whenever we're both on,
Okay.
then we can just link up then, because that's easier with, like, if we say, oh, let's do it in 2 days, then you have to cram 5 games of the heroes in, and you might just have horrible games and all that, or something might pop up and you aren't at your computer, or something might pop up for me, and then, so unless you need to plan it, I prefer to like not plan it right now. So just whenever we're both on and you have your games done and you feel like you finished the videos and you've got your games in and you have stuff that you want to go over, then we can just be like, oh hey, I'm on and we're all done with everything, or I'll check in with you in a little bit and see if you're done or whatever.
Okay, now one last question before you head out.
Sure.
Now, you stated that you don't like to do coaching in-game.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, this game, there was probably like 3 or 4 minutes where the game was paused, where I can just 16 times over that. Or, also, there's just a lot of downtime in games that I can skip through in a replay. And then there's also a lot of micro mistakes, like where you charged from here instead of walking over here and charging. That would be very hard to explain in the middle of a game. Or if, like, you gank this way when you're supposed to gank this way, that's also hard to explain. And then you're going to be using 80 or 90% of, like, your mental resources playing the game, so all that I can access is the, like, 10 or 20% that's left. I have done coaching, like,
a lot to begin with, so.
Yeah. And I have done live coaching, but whenever I do it based off of turbo games, because that's twice as quick, and in an hour lesson we can play the game live and then also go over it in an hour, as opposed to if we do a live game, it might take like an hour and 45 minutes to do that. But I do think playing a live game is bad for 90% of my students, but there is 10% that it is actually really good for them, and that's just based off of the person. And usually that 10%'s like very adamant about wanting it, and then I'm just like, alright, well, it's your time, so if you want me to do it, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so any final questions?
So, I paid for 3 hours.
Yep.
How long do you think this took?
This was, I usually go off the Skype time, but for the first 15 minutes, we're kind of just like setting stuff up. So
yeah,
it's only like 45 minutes.
Talking. Okay. So probably say there'd probably be like 2 more sessions then.
Yeah, it depends on how long they go. Like the next session could just be like, I don't like to bullshit around. So if like in 30 minutes we talked about something that was critical and you need to work on before you come back, I'll cut that off. Or if it's even 15 minutes. But I also have done lessons that are literally 3 hours long, So it just depends on the replays and all of that.
Okay. So, all right. Well, if it's going to be about 2 more hours of coaching,
Yep.
depending on how it goes in the future, I might ask for a live in-game.
Sure.
But I definitely want to defer to your expertise. So,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Yep.
Anybody that's in chat, if you have any questions for him, now is the time to ask him. If you don't, thank you so much. Give them a couple seconds to see if there is anybody in chat
Sure.
to ask questions. So
Yeah, and thanks for getting the coaching.
yeah, no problem. Actually, it's funny. The guy that was playing Omni Knight in this game, Millions of Peaches, a friend of mine, he actually, I woke up today and he was telling me about getting coaching. And it got me to thinking, I was like, hey, you know, there are definitely things I need to improve on. And like you said, like I told you earlier before, one of the things I want to work on is definitely my pride. I definitely feel like I know that I am better and I know more than people give me credit for. But I mean, when you stop and think about it, I'm still sub 3,000 elo, and you know, like you have pointed out in different cases, that there is still a lot I can definitely work on.
Yeah.
Even simple things.
Well, it's I usually like to start with a mechanics thing. I know how to talk a good amount about like psychology of Dota and all of that, but that's I do that more after I've seen some of the gameplay stuff, because it could just be some simple gameplay stuff that's holding you back, but it also could be the psychology stuff. But for anyone that's under like 5.5k, there's always going to be something that I can point out that's gameplay, whereas there might not be something that's psychology that I can point out. So it's a better thing to start with. But yeah, so was there any questions in the chat?
No, the only thing that anybody said in chat was just thank you for the knowledge.
Yep.
So, and that was actually from my buddy Peaches.
Yo,
so thank you so much for your time.
Send them the YouTube link.
I definitely will. Yeah.
Hey, so yeah, hey, I gotta go.
Actually play support, so.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I hope you have a good day.
Yep, you too. It was nice meeting you. Peace.